The call came late in the afternoon, right as I pulled into the driveway of what I thought was our new beginning. The engine was still running when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Is this Daniel Brooks? The voice was old, raspy, like it hadn't been used much lately. I frowned. This is Danielle Brooks. Who's this? Pause. Long enough to make my fingers tighten around the steering wheel. I'm the previous owner of your house. That alone should have made me hang up. I'm sorry to bother you, he continued quickly, nervous, but I forgot something. Something important. I exhaled through my nose, already annoyed. Look, we just moved in. Whatever it is. There's a camera, he cut in. Hidden in the living room ceiling. My foot slipped off the brake. What? I whispered. I forgot to disconnect it from the cloud before the sale, he said. It's been recording. Everything inside me went still. I only realized today, he rushed on, when I accidentally opened the old feed. I didn't mean to see anything but what I saw. I think you need to know. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. What did you see? I asked. Silence. Then quietly, not over the phone. And don't tell your husband. Come alone. I'll show you everything. The line went dead. I sat there in the car, staring at the house like it had suddenly turned into a stranger. Warm lights glowed through the windows. The porch decorations I'd picked out myself swayed gently in the breeze. Inside I could hear laughter. Mark's voice, his mother's sharp cackle, his sister chiming in. Sounded happy. Normal. I finally forced myself out of the car and walked inside. Hey babe. Mark called from the kitchen. You're home early. He smiled at me, same easy grin I'd trusted for years. Everything okay? I nodded automatically. Yeah. Just forgot a few things. I'm gonna run back out. I kissed his cheek. His skin felt warm. Familiar. My hands were shaking when I reached the car again. As I drove away, a cold realization settled into my chest. Whatever that man saw, it wasn't nothing. It was a warning. The bungalow was 20 minutes away, tucked behind a gas station like it was trying not to be seen. The previous owner answered the door with trembling hands and eyes full of regret. I didn't mean to get involved, he said, ushering me inside. But I lived in that house for 30 years. It deserved better than what I saw. He sat me down in front of an old laptop on a cluttered desk. I backed up everything, he said softly. I'm not keeping it. I just thought, you had a right to know. He clicked play. My living room filled the screen. The timestamp read Tuesday, 6:42 p.m. I'd been at work late that night. The front door opened. Mark walked in. Behind him, his mother. Then his sister. They poured wine. Laughed. Settled in like they owned the place. My stomach twisted. Mark dropped onto the couch and laughed. I still can't believe she fell for it. My breath caught. All that fresh start nonsense, his mother said. Like it was ever really her house. His sister smirked. You did the hard part, bro. Now we just keep her distracted while we finalize the switch. The switch. I whispered aloud. On screen, Mark pulled out a folder and held it up proudly. Power of attorney, he said. She signed it without even reading. They all laughed. I felt like I couldn't breathe. The man beside me reached over and turned the volume down. There's more, he said gently. But I think you understand. They weren't just lying to me. They were dismantling my life while smiling to my face. I stood up slowly, legs numb. Send me everything, I said. Every second. He nodded. Because in that moment something inside me hardened. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to confront them. I was going to make sure I was never the fool again. When I got home that night, everything looked the same. Mark kissed my cheek and asked if I remembered milk. His sister waved from the garage. His mother hummed while unpacking boxes like she belonged there. I smiled. I played my part. Because what they didn't know was that I had the footage. And this time I was the one watching. For the next few days I became an actress in my own life. I laughed when Mark joked. I nodded when his mother offered advice I didn't ask for. I smiled when his sister walked through rooms she had no right to feel comfortable in. Inside I was counting breaths. Every word they spoke now had weight. Every glance felt rehearsed. And the worst part? They were sloppy, too confident to hide it anymore. I started small. I told Mark I'd be working late more often. That I was overwhelmed, distracted, tired. He didn't question it. He liked me tired. That gave me time. The first microphone went under the kitchen counter, taped carefully behind the loose panel I'd noticed weeks ago. The second slipped into the hallway outlet while they were out shopping. The third, under the dining table right where his mother always sat. I upgraded the router that same night. New firmware. Private backup feed. Encrypted cloud storage. And the old camera. I expanded it. They never noticed. They never thought I'd be smart enough to look. The real conversation started 2 days later. I sat in my car outside the house, laptop open, headphones on. Mark's voice came through the speakers, casual. Lazy. She still doesn't suspect a thing, he said. His sister laughed. Of course she doesn't. She's emotional, not strategic. Their mother chimed in. We wait a few more weeks. Once the funds move, she's irrelevant. Irrelevant. The word burned. What if she pushes back? His sister asked. Mark scoffed. She won't. She hates conflict. Worst case. I tell her we need space. She'll blame herself. I closed my eyes. I had loved this man. I had trusted him with my name, my signature, my future. And he had reduced me to a weakness to be managed. That night I didn't sleep. I sat at the dining table long after they'd gone to bed, staring at a blank spreadsheet. Step 1. A lawyer, quiet, ruthless, unconnected to anyone they knew. Step 2. Revoke the power of attorney without warning. Step 3. Pull every asset back under my control before they realized the door was closing. I wasn't angry anymore. I was precise. The lawyer's office was tucked into a dull building at the edge of town, the kind no one noticed unless they needed something buried airtight. Her name was Elaine Porter. She didn't smile. She didn't waste words. You're telling me your husband and his family are planning financial and property fraud, she said calmly, flipping through the copies I'd brought. Yes. And you have recordings? Yes. She looked up at me for the first time. Then we move quietly. If they suspect, they'll rush. That's fine, I said. Let them think they're ahead. We revoked the power of attorney that afternoon. No announcement. No confrontation. Elaine filed emergency protections on my personal accounts and began the process of isolating shared assets. Don't change your behavior, she warned. Predators notice patterns. I smiled thinly. They won't notice anything. They never have. By Friday the shift had already started. Accounts moved. Access limited. The deed locked down. All that remained were surface-level balances, the shiny numbers they were watching. Bait. That weekend I played my role perfectly. I came home smiling, breathless. You won't believe this, I said, dropping my bag. My manager hinted at a promotion. A big one. Mark's eyes lit up instantly. His sister clapped. His mother hugged me tighter than she ever had. Knew you had it in you, she said sweetly. I leaned into it. Nice dinners. Expensive wine. I even bought Mark a watch and watched his guilt-free smile as he fastened it. They thought time was on their side. They didn't realize I'd already taken the clock off the wall. 2 nights later I overheard Mark in the backyard. I watched him through the window, phone pressed to his ear, pacing like a man already rehearsing his victory. It's happening soon, he whispered. She's completely in the dark. I've got the signature practice down, she won't even know when it's done. I lifted my coffee mug slowly. He smiled as he spoke. Proud. That was when I sent Elaine everything. The recordings. The footage. The screenshots. The practiced signatures. Prepare the final package, I wrote. I want it airtight. Her reply came minutes later. Understood. We'll let them think they're winning. I stared at Mark through the glass as he laughed at something on the phone. And for the first time since the call I felt calm. Because I wasn't reacting anymore. I was orchestrating. By the time Monday rolled around they were careless. That's how I knew it was working. Mark stopped pretending to listen when I spoke. His sister walked through the house like she was measuring walls. His mother started talking about downsizing as if I weren't sitting right there. They'd already moved on. I watched them the way you watch actors forget the audience is still in the room. That night I invited them all to dinner. A celebration, I said lightly. The bonus came through early. Greed is louder than caution. They said yes instantly. I grilled steaks. Opened the expensive wine Mark had been saving. Even wore the necklace he'd given me months ago, the one I now knew was paid for with my own money. They toasted me. To hard work, Mark said. To family, his mother added. His sister clinked her glass against mine. To the future. I smiled. If they'd looked closer they might have seen how steady my hands were. Halfway through dinner, his sister leaned back in her chair, wine glass dangling loosely from her fingers. So, she said casually, have you thought about what you'll do next? Once everything's finalized. Mark shot her a warning glance but she ignored it. I mean, she continued, smirking, this house has so much potential. It's going to look incredible once it's really ours. His mother laughed. She's right. You've been a great placeholder. Placeholder. I took a slow sip of wine. Mark chuckled nervously. She doesn't mean it like that. Oh, I do, his sister said. Relax. She won't remember this conversation anyway. That's when something inside me shifted. I set my glass down carefully and stood. Let's toast again, I said. They looked up at me surprised. To next Tuesday, I continued. I'll have something very special to share with all of you then. They cheered. They thought it was a promise. It was a deadline. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of the bedroom while Mark snored beside me, scrolling through files and timelines, double-checking every step. At 2:17 a.m. I got a message from Elaine. Everything is ready. Emergency motions prepared. Asset freeze queued. All we need is the green light. I stared at the ceiling. Soon, I whispered. Tuesday morning arrived quietly. Too quietly. I wore a simple gray dress. No jewelry. No makeup beyond the basics. I wanted to look like myself. Unadorned, unafraid. Mark came downstairs beaming, already pouring mimosas. Big day, he said. For you, I replied. His sister laughed. His mother was on the phone, bragging loudly about this being the last week under someone else's roof. I checked the clock. 8:59 a.m. The doorbell rang at exactly 9. Mark frowned. Were you expecting someone? I smiled. Yes. I opened the door. Elaine stepped inside, calm and unhurried, a thick folder tucked under her arm. Behind her stood a uniformed court officer. Mark froze. What is this? He demanded. Elaine didn't look at him. She looked at me. Are you ready? I nodded. He turned to them. You may want to sit down. The court officer unfolded a document. Mark Whitman, he began, you are being served notice of an emergency cease and desist regarding attempted financial exploitation and property fraud. His mother screamed. This is ridiculous. Elaine continued evenly. Additionally, all joint accounts have been frozen pending investigation. His sister shot to her feet. You can't do that. I finally spoke. Oh, but I already did. They turned to me like I'd slapped them. While you were planning how to erase me, I said calmly, I took back everything. Mark's face drained of color. The house, I continued, the accounts, the investments, you don't have access to any of it. His mother shook her head violently. She's lying. Elaine slid documents across the table. Updated deeds. Revoked authority. Verified signatures. Silence fell heavy. I reached out and removed the watch from Mark's wrist. This was bought with my money, I said softly. I'll be keeping it. He stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. I placed a USB drive on the table. This contains every conversation you thought I'd never hear. Copies are secured. Any retaliation and it becomes public. His sister's voice cracked. You're insane. I met her gaze. No, I was trusting. There's a difference. They didn't argue anymore. The court officer finished his paperwork. Pack your things, I said. You have until sunset. His mother shouted, this is our home. I looked at her steadily. No, I said. It never was. For a moment no one moved. The silence inside the dining room felt heavier than any shouting match ever could. Mark stared at the documents like they were written in a language he couldn't understand. His sister gripped the back of her chair so tightly her knuckles turned white. His mother's mouth opened and closed repeatedly, like she was searching for a version of reality where this wasn't happening. You can't just throw us out, his mother finally snapped. I tilted my head slightly. I'm not throwing you out. I'm removing people who never belonged here. Mark finally stood. Danielle, let's talk privately. The audacity almost made me laugh. Privately? I repeated. You forged my signature, recorded my finances, and plotted with your family to erase me from my own life. And now you want privacy? His sister slammed her palm against the table. We were trying to protect him. You control everything. Protect him, I said calmly. From what? Respect? Partnership? Accountability? Mark stepped closer, lowering his voice. You're overreacting. This is just a misunderstanding. I held his gaze. No, I said quietly. This is clarity. The court officer cleared his throat, reminding them he was still standing there, still official, still real. You have until 6 p.m., he repeated. The rest of the morning unraveled slowly. Drawers opened. Closet doors slammed. Suitcases rolled across hardwood floors that had once echoed with what I thought was laughter. I stayed downstairs, seated at the dining table, reviewing paperwork with Elaine. Every zipper sound upstairs felt like a nail sealing something shut. At one point, Mark came down holding a framed photo from our honeymoon. Do you even remember this? He asked, voice breaking slightly. I looked at the photo. Beach sunlight. My head resting on his shoulder. My smile wide and unguarded. I remember believing it, I said. He swallowed hard. There was a time I loved you. The words lingered in the air like smoke. Maybe, I replied. But love doesn't come with backup plans. By late afternoon the house felt hollow. Boxes stacked near the door. Shoes lined up like strangers waiting for transportation. His mother muttered curses under her breath while stuffing kitchen utensils into bags like she was looting a store. His sister paced, still shaking her head in disbelief. This is going to destroy you socially, she snapped at me. You think people won't find out you ruined your marriage like this? I leaned back in my chair. I didn't ruin my marriage, I said evenly. You exposed it. Mark didn't say anything. That was the part that hurt the most. Not the betrayal. Not the planning. The silence. Around 5:30 the sun started dropping, painting the walls in streaks of burning orange light. The kind of sunset that usually made me reach for my phone to take pictures. Today it looked like the sky itself was bleeding. Suitcases began appearing on the front porch. Neighbors slowed their cars. Curtains shifted across the street. The quiet suburb suddenly felt like a stage, and this was the final performance. Mark stood in the doorway, staring back into the house like he was trying to memorize it. Where are we supposed to go? His mother demanded. That's not my responsibility, I said. His sister scoffed. You're heartless. I stood up and walked toward the front door. No, I said. I just stopped bleeding for people who were sharpening knives. Mark was the last to step outside. Mascara streaks stained his sister's face. His mother clutched her purse like it contained oxygen. But Mark just stood there, hands in his pockets, searching my face like he was hoping to find hesitation. Is there really no way to fix this? He asked quietly. For a split second, memories flickered. Movie nights, late drives, the version of him I thought I married. Then I remembered the recordings. The laughter. The word irrelevant. There was, I said softly. You chose not to take it. He nodded once. That was the closest thing to an apology I was ever going to get. I stepped back inside and closed the door. The sound of the lock sliding into place echoed through the hallway like a final sentence. For the first time in weeks, the house was silent. No forced laughter. No whispered plotting. No footsteps that didn't belong. I leaned against the door and exhaled slowly, my entire body trembling now that it was over. Or at least, the first part was over. Elaine gathered her files calmly. You handled that with remarkable control. I'm not done yet, I said. She studied me carefully. You're referring to professional consequences. I nodded. Are you certain? She asked. This will end his career permanently. I stared at the empty staircase where our wedding photo had once hung. He tried to erase my future, I said quietly. I'm just returning the favor. Elaine gave a small, understanding nod. Then I'll prepare the final report. After she left, I walked through every room slowly. The living room still smelled like their perfume and cologne. The kitchen counters were spotless, almost aggressively clean, like they were trying to erase fingerprints of everything that had happened there. Upstairs, our bedroom looked unfamiliar without his clothes in the closet. I sat on the edge of the bed and let the silence settle around me. But I wasn't broken. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was resolved. And tomorrow I would make sure their lies followed them into every door they tried to open next. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was restless, but because I was awake in a way I hadn't been in years. The house was quiet. Honest quiet. No whispers behind doors. No laughter with sharp edges. Just the sound of the floor settling, the hum of the refrigerator, and my own breathing finally matching the space around me. Before sunrise I was already dressed. I drove downtown as the city woke up, glass buildings catching the early light like they had something to confess. I parked beneath one of them and rode the elevator up alone, my reflection staring back at me from mirrored walls. The firm occupied the top floor. This had always been Mark's dream. Power. Prestige. Recognition. He used to talk about it at dinner like it was inevitable. I walked into the conference room carrying a thin folder that weighed more than anything I'd ever held. The senior partner glanced up. "You're sure you want to proceed?" I placed the folder on the table and slid it forward. "Forged signatures," I said. "Financial manipulation. Recorded intent to commit fraud. All verified." He opened it slowly. Read. Paused. "This will end his career," he said. I met his eyes. He ended our marriage the moment he planned to steal my life. The man exhaled through his nose and closed the folder. "Then it's done." By noon the dominoes started falling. Emails. Calls. Quiet removals. Mark's access badge was revoked before lunch. His name vanished from internal directories by mid-afternoon. Internship offers disappeared. Professional references withdrew. By evening his phone was ringing non-stop. I didn't answer a single call. At 8:43 p.m. a message came through. "Please. I didn't think you'd go this far." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed one sentence. "You didn't think I'd see you clearly." I blocked the number. Back home the sun was setting again. Another streaked sky. Another ending. I sat on the porch with a glass of bourbon, the air cold against my skin. Somewhere down the street someone laughed. A dog barked. Life continued, indifferent to what had collapsed inside my walls. And that was the strange part. I didn't feel victorious. I felt clean. They thought love made me weak. They thought silence meant blindness. They thought trust was a tool they could use against me. What they never understood was that I wasn't playing their game. I was watching it, learning it, waiting. Inside, the house no longer felt like a stage. It felt like mine. I walked through each room one last time before bed, not to mourn but to reclaim. I took down photos that no longer told the truth. I opened windows. Let the night air in. In the bedroom I lay down alone for the first time since everything began. And I slept. Deeply. Peacefully. Weeks later I heard through mutual acquaintances that Mark had moved back in with his mother. That his sister blamed him. That none of them spoke anymore. They lost more than a house. They lost each other. As for me, I learned something they never will. That the most dangerous person in the room is the one you underestimate. And when someone tries to steal your future while smiling to your face, you don't scream. You don't beg. You don't warn them. You let them finish building the trap. Then you lock the door behind them and walk away whole.